Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a layout for Hip Kit Club. I'm playing along with the International Scrapbook Day Sketch-a-thon and this is our YouTube Hop. So here is my sketch. I designed this one and I'm doing a double layout and I'm using the March 2021 Hip Kit. So, you know, a double, we don't see many of these days. I don't think they're in fashion particularly, but every so often I make one and I always really quite enjoy the process of working with the bigger canvas. I've also, it's a different, obviously it's a different size, but it's a different shape as well because it's a large rectangle rather than a square. So it's an interesting, you know, thing to do occasionally, an interesting exercise to do sometimes. I always find it challenging to stretch elements across the whole of the 12 by 24 canvas. So yeah, it's always good and fun to do one occasionally. They're also amazing to get in lots of extra photos as well. So if you have a lot of photos from one day or one particular thing and you want to get them all on one layout, then this is a great way of doing it. So I really hope that you do play along with my double layout sketch. And also that I hope that you're inspired by my layout as well. So the first thing I've done is I've taken a piece of the March 2021 paper and I have cut it in half. So I have two big pieces, 6 by 12, and I'm going to stick those along the top of my layout. So I literally cut that piece of paper in half, so I had two 6 by 12 pieces. And then I grabbed another piece of paper, which was the yellow one, and I just cut two 1-inch strips of that, and they're going to go along the bottom and act as a layer underneath the pattern paper. So you can see that straight away I have a layout. It's coming together quite nicely already, and it was super duper simple. I always tape my my backgrounds together when I'm making a double layout because it's just way easier to keep everything lined up across that join, but also just because it means that it doesn't constantly move around and be out of sync. So I just turn my pages over, tape it together with like you know, like magic tape or Scotch tape. Or even a washi tape if you don't have any normal tape, I just find that's a much easier way of working. So I have 5 photos printed. They're all portrait orientation. I tend to take most of my photos in portrait mode rather than landscape. So this sketch has worked really well. Well, obviously I designed the sketch, so I designed it that way on purpose. But having a series of portrait photos works well for me. And I think it works really well across a double layout as well. So because you can have multiple of them. And the fact that they're all sitting on the line just means that everything kind of coordinates quite well. So I have 5 photos. Now on my sketch I have 2 groups of 2 photos on the left, and I have a gap, and then I have a photo over right on the right hand side. Now when I made the sketch I was silly enough not to consider the fact that the double layout has a join in the middle, and that really you shouldn't have a photo sitting on that join because you will need to cut it in half in order to put it in your albums. So that doesn't really work for photos. It can do, and if you just a small amount on the side of the photo, it doesn't matter. But if you're slicing through someone's face, that's not so good. I rearranged things slightly. Also, my photos were grouped in a slightly different way to what was on the sketch, because I had 3 photos of the boys doing one thing, which is rolling down the hill, and then I have 2 photos of them going across a bridge. So the group of 4 and 1 didn't really work for my photos. I've got a group of 3 and a group of 2. So I wanted to arrange them in that way. So I made it so that I had 3 photos on the left side of the layout, so on the left page, and then I had the other 2 photos clustered together on the right page. But then I had that gap, and then over right on the right hand side, instead of putting another photo there, I have changed that and put an embellishment cluster. So I've grabbed a chipboard frame from the one of the chipboard sheets from the March kit, and I've backed it in white so that it reads as a single piece rather than a frame. I've got the hot air balloon ephemera, and I've got some flowers and a tag. I've got that's an acetate tag there, which I'm going to deal with in a minute, because at the moment you can see through it and see to the layers behind it. So I'm just going to sort that out in a moment. And I've added some floral ephemera as well. I've gone through the whole of the floral ephemera pack, which I think is my favourite embellishment from the March kit. And I've pulled out lots of flowers. I've already used loads of them. Don't tell anyone. I'm nearly out. And I have arranged them all going across the layout. I've also, on the left-hand side, I've added a bit more to the left cluster by adding another chipboard frame, which again I've backed in white, and then I've added a circular frame, chipboard frame underneath the photo, yeah, I've just added lots of flowers as well. I'm using them as layers really, so I'm just having them poke out of the sides of the photos and underneath the photos and the top of the photos. So I'm really using them as kind of layers really. And I'm loving how it's looking at the moment. I really love the colours in this March kit. They're just so lovely and spring-like, aren't they? So yeah, I don't mind that I got my kits a little bit later this month, because it just means that I can scrap my March photos with my March kit. Of course, if I have my March kit in advance of March, then I wouldn't have my March photos. So I know not everyone works in the same way, but for me, having a kit a month behind actually works really, really well. So the delay in kits this month was an advantage to me. So I'm just carrying on with the whole spring theme, and trying to make everything look spring-like and bright and happy and lovely and floral. So I'm carrying on just adding everything. I think most of my photos are stuck down, and I'm just making sure that I'm happy with how everything is positioned and seeing what else I can add to this layout. So over on the right-hand side, I mentioned the acetate tag. And the fact that you could see through it and see to the layers behind it. So what I've done is I have cut a piece of white card to the same size as the tag, and I have just tied the two together with a piece of twine. This just means that you can't see through the acetate tag and see all the layers behind it, because it can look a bit messy then. And it also adds a little kind of offset and interest to the tag itself as well, and it makes the colours show up well too. So that's a good little tip if you're struggling to use the acetate pieces. I know some people really do struggle with them. I always really like how they look, but I do sometimes have to back them in white before I use them. Okay, so I'm just continuing to add everything. I've added a chipboard title in between my two photos, not my two photos, between my photos and my embellishment cluster on the right-hand page. And that says Live Life in Full Bloom. I loved that title, thought it was really, really lovely. But I also want to give my layout another title because my boys are rolling down a hill. And I tell you what, it was the funniest thing. Us adults were absolutely in stitches laughing at them because my 2-year-old could not roll. So he did this very strange kind of bunny hop where he'd kind of turn over and then shuffle down the hill a little bit and then try and turn over again and then shuffle down a little bit more because he just could not work out how to actually do the rolling that his big brother was doing. Oh, we really did laugh. It was so funny. So it's lovely to have these photos. So I was thinking back to when he did it. We were laughing so much. Oh, it was so funny. Sometimes you wish you could capture things on a video on a scrapbook layout, don't you? So I've got those clips on my phone, but not in my albums. I'm not quite sure how we can sort that out. Anyway. So those 3 photos on the left-hand side are about the rolling down the hill. So I wanted to put the words on a roll, and I've just done underneath the photo there and used the green letters or blue letters that were in the March kit to do that. Okay, so over on the right-hand side, I've added a few more lines of chipboard labels underneath the embellishments. So I've added waiting for spring. It feels like spring is in the air, our weekend fun, and then an arrow. So I just wanted to bring in the journaling strips that were on the sketch. I wanted to bring those in, although instead of doing journaling there, I have used those chipboard labels because I thought they worked better. And then my journaling will go over on the other side. So a sketch you don't have to stick to exactly, it's just there for inspiration. So if you want to move the elements around a little bit, then that is absolutely fine, and I do that all the time. I decided that the top of my layout was too boring. I mean, even with all that pattern, I was like, what can I do to make it stand out and be awesome? So I grabbed another sheet of the same paper. So I get the extra paper kit every month. And I always love having lots of extra paper because I love paper. I love pretty paper. So I have that extra kit. So I grabbed the extra sheet of the same paper and I fussy cut out a number of those pieces. I don't know what you would call them. Stars? Mandalas? I'm not quite sure. But I fussy cut a load of those out and I raised them on foam pads over the same places that they were on the layout. In particular, this sorted out the problem in the middle because the pattern was not exactly right on the left side and the right side, didn't match up completely. So by having those two pieces for the middle and going over the joint, even though I've had to cut them where the joint is, it just makes the pattern flow a bit better. So that worked well, and they're all popped up on foam pads. You can't see them too well from this video, but hopefully you should be able to see them in the close-ups. So I've just added some enamel dots to bring in some extra colour, and I'm now also going to add in some splatters of the purple paint that we got in the March colour kit. That's a Shimmers paint and it's called Purple Peony. So I've just added some splatters of that, and that is me done. So thank you very much for joining me to watch this video. Make sure that you play along with the sketch challenges, and also go and watch the rest of the videos in this fabulous hop. There's loads of us. So yeah, the list and all the details are below. And you have a week, or nearly a week, to enter the sketches and to do the YouTube hop as well for the chance to win some prizes. So yeah, that's by Sunday, May 9th at 11:59 p.m. EST. Okay, thank you so very much for joining me today. Hop on over to the next stop of the hop. That was Niki Rowland for Hip Kit Club.